Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Mo Love Podcast, Honest Conversations with Mo. Uh, as you may or may not know, today's the big 3-0, 30th birthday. Wanted to drop a quick little episode as, as I kind of discussed throughout this season, just getting to this point of 30 and kind of what it means to, let go of my 20s and move on to, that next chapter um, in life. So, yeah, just want to get right into it. For this episode, I kind of want to talk about the concept of leaving no stone unturned. And by leaving no stone unturned, I mean just really kind of putting ourselves out there and challenging ourselves in the world that we're in. As I'm currently for my 30th enjoying a nice trip out in Turks and Caicos, and having a good time. But in terms of leaving no stone unturned is just the things I'm even learning about myself on this trip. It hasn't been picture perfect, of course, as far as the trip, but still trying to find ways to have fun. I think that's the point of kind of leaving no stone unturned, is where we're challenging ourselves to find new ways to become better versions of ourselves. And in terms of leaving no stone unturned, just pursuit of, whatever dream or whatever passion you have in this world, and going for it, with 100% conviction and 100% focus. And obviously, it can be challenging at times. But it's important to kind of learn ourselves in that way in which we're reshaping ourselves and reshaping ourselves in the sense of what part of ourselves are we not challenging. That's what I mean by leaving no stone unturned. Is you got to really find out all aspects of you, whether it's the part of you that gets frustrated on a trip when you lose your AirPods, or the part of you that finds ways to still create an adventure out of things. And I think that's the important thing to take away from life these days, is how are we creating adventures, for ourselves and creating an adventure around us. And that gets me into my next topic of how does one explore? For example, for myself, as I mentioned, uh, don't know if I picked the best location, on the island, but still finding ways to create meaning and create a meaningful experience from it. Um, really just, making the most of it. And honestly, my intended purpose of this trip for me was just to relax and kind of get away. And I'm still able to do that. Um, Although my ideal exploration isn't going as how I occurred. So I think when you're exploring, whether it's another country, another city, another state, what parts of you are you also exploring? What are you learning about yourself along the way on the trip? Um, that allows you to kind of get more insight on yourself. And as I'm looking, around, the beauty, the wonder, the trees all around me. I'm just, almost in awe because I think coming from, where I come from, I guess this wasn't, inevitable. This wasn't guaranteed, just as with anything in life, it wasn't guaranteed, but just knowing the endless possibilities that the world has to offer. And I think that's the beauty of exploration, and how you choose to explore the world is actually one, attaining the unattainable, because nothing is ever unattainable. Um, and two, just taking the trip, taking the risk, and seeing what becomes of it. Just enjoying yourself, finding ways to enjoy yourself because I'm definitely enjoying myself. And having kind of a great time. And making the most of this overall trip and really relaxing and kind of unwinding. And then next, I want to get into what does happiness versus joy look like. And I think when we go, because I think we kind of confused the two, and I kind of spoke on last episode as far as the definitions and kind of the definitions we provide to words. And with happiness versus joy, happiness is just an innate feeling that you kind of feel, and you kind of almost obviously of course create your own happiness. But the joy is that intrinsic uplifting, that almost out of body experience that you have in the things you do. And I think that's what joy really is, versus where we're almost seeking happiness, but oftentimes we're really just looking to seek joy and find ease in the things we do, because the world can be so challenging, the world can be so difficult at times. So I think it's very much important to have that balance of understanding that feeling of happiness, but also finding the joy in things and creating those beautiful moments in the world around us, because you know not guaranteed anything in this life, not guaranteed anything from anyone. So cultivating your own happiness is reliant upon you, but cultivating joy, cultivating joy can happen in any moment. And, happiness is a feeling, as I said. Cultivating joy is the real spark and the real, you know, r- real progression that we really have as individuals when we're able to find joy, because we're able to have that fun. We're able to create those proper boundaries for ourselves, because we're aligning ourselves with the ideals and the values that are true to us. And that's where you can really find joy in the things you do, because you're staying true to yourself, versus when you're being happy or when you're feeling this rush to chase happiness. It's unfulfilling, and it's almost ever evolving kind of chase, and seeking something and kind of give us that approval when we can provide that approval for ourselves. um yeah, I mean, with joy, I mean, I think of even myself, where when I first got here in Turks and Caicos and had that feeling of happiness, but it almost kind of rushed away when a few things didn't kind of go my way, like as I mentioned, losing personal possessions such as my AirPods, but also realizing it's just material things, and really still trying to find the joy and the beauty in this trip, and what I'm learning about myself from this trip, and who I'm looking to be moving forward, and really really being comfortable with that, and the next steps and what's next for me, and what I'm looking to obtain throughout this life and throughout this lifetime in all aspects, but also understanding the things I really do value, and being accepting of that, because if we're not aware of the things we value, do we ever really truly value ourselves? So I think it's very important to find that balance of not conflating happiness with joy, and also in knowing, one, joy is a feeling, two, oh no, one, my confusion, one, happiness is a feeling, two, joy is something you create, joy is something you provide to yourself, and then lastly, just making the most of it, whether it be uh, in ill time birthday trip, or just having, fun with family and friends in the tribe you're looking to cultivate in this world. So I think it's very important to have that real understanding between the two, and then the things you do as well, and having that overall balance. And then lastly, for this, quick little episode, I want to get into, of course, you guys know me, play-in has been complete in the NBA. The NBA play-in is complete. The playoffs are officially underway starting today, um, where my Lakers take on the Nuggets. Um, and then the overall East and Western Conference brackets are solidified. As we know, the one seeded Oklahoma City Thunder will play the New Orleans Pelicans. The number two seeded Denver Nuggets will play against my Los Angeles Lakers. The three seeded Clippers go up against the Dallas Mavericks. And lastly, the Phoenix Sun go up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The 4 seed Timberwolves go up against the 5 seed Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference. And then in the Eastern Conference, we've got the 1 seed Celtics, boo, uh, going up against the Miami Heat. And the 2 seeded Knicks going up against the Philadelphia 76ers. The 3 seeded Cavaliers, no, 3 seeded Pacers going up against the 3 seeded Bucks going up against the Pacers, and then the 4 seeded Cavs going up against the Orlando Magic. And then I guess for my picks, obviously, I got the Lakers in 6 against the Nuggets. I think it will go 6. I think we find a way to pull off the upset, as long as guys like D'Lo and AR show up, especially D'Lo, if he's able to match the production of a Jamal Murray, pending his health, but just overall, just matching the production of Murray and kind of scoring point for point. Where if we can get at least 20 from D'Lo, maybe 15 to 20 from AR, and then I think our key for this series, of course, is going to be Rui Hachimura, and I think Rui is going to be vital in this series in the sense of is he able to score and create, opportunities for himself, and then 2, just finding out how to hit a bucket throughout this series. And I think it'll be vital, especially depending how, AD shows up, and of course LeBron's going to be LeBron come playoff time. But I do think we prevail over the Nuggets in 6. Next, with the Pelicans OKC series. See, that's a series of 2 young juggernauts, mainly in OKC, and how they're growing and looking to build their team and their roster moving forward. And pending the health of Zion for the Pelicans, but I think this is going to be a closer series than most people think. I do think it goes 6 or 7. I'm going to go with 7 in favor of OKC and them just having the home field advantage. Next, Timberwolves Suns. For Timberwolves Suns, I'm gonna go with the Suns. I think Bill Booker, KD are kind of putting it together. Like as I said last episode, they're finally starting to get healthy. I think it goes 6. I think Ant-Man's going to show up, but I don't think he has the firepower for his guys to kind of show up with him. I don't know how Cat's going to be, coming back. And who's going to be, that second scoring option besides Edwards. So I do think the Suns pull it off in 6 in that series. And then next, last in the West, that Clippers Mavs. Seeing as Kawhi's health is kind of up in the air, missing obviously the last 8 games of the season with, the kind of bruised knee and his consistent knee issues, I think is going to come down to how Luke and Kyrie show up, and I think Luke and Kyrie show up big time. So I think it's going to go 5, 5 Mavs in 5. Uh, but I think it'll be close games. But I just think because of the lack of not really having a healthy Kawhi Leonard, and then the overall just firepower. And the Mavs are kind of putting the pieces together all at the right time as well, and I think that's going to be clutch also. So excited to see that series. I think that's going to be the one series I'm most excited for, outside of obviously my Lakers series, and then that young Thunder Pelicans matchup is going to be a great series as well. And then on to the East, to the Eastern Conference. Guess I got to go Celtics. Heat don't have Jimmy Butler. I'm gonna go Celtics in 5. Could be a potential sweep. But I can also see, because it is Miami and they just play so hard. I think I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go with Celtics in 6. Somehow they steal 2 games. And then Sixers, Knicks. Oh man, that's Joel Embiid getting healthy. He's still, kind of ailing from his injury, but I think if they can get it together and if Joel can kind of at least be very efficient, I don't know if the Knicks have anyone kind of match up against Joel, and depending on if Maxey kind of match point for point with Brunson, I think the Sixers might pull this out. I think it's going to be an upset. I think the Sixers do pull this out in 7. It'll be a hard fought series, but I do see the Sixers kind of pulling this out at 7. Next, Bucks Pacers. Bucks Pacers. I mean, the Pacers have kind of outran the Bucks all season. Obviously, it is playoffs, so it'll be a bit more half court offenses. So it's going to be a matter of the Pacers can keep up their offensive production. It's going to be a bit tougher, and if they can get stops. But I do see Pacers in 6. Pacers in 6 only due to the unknown of when Giannis will be back, and if if Dame has enough to kind of carry this Bucks team without Giannis for the time being, because I think really Middleton not having showed up this season as of yet. If it is going to be Middleton come playoff time, if he shows up, that could change the series. But I do still see Pacers in 6, and then Cavs Magic. Another young stars, Spider versus Paolo, Garland, Jared Allen, Jalen Suggs. It's gonna be a great series, and I think this one goes 7. I think Orlando in 7. I think just Paolo is gonna show kind of superstar he is during the playoff run, and kind of that start. I don't know if they'll go far beyond the second round, but I will say they will pull off. I guess it's considered upset. Not really. It's probably the best matchup in the overall throughout the playoffs. But I say Magic in 7. Um, but yeah, just wanted to hop on here real quick. You know, talk to y'all for a little bit. Said 30th birthday. Kind of excited for what's next. And excited for all the endless possibilities, as I said. And definitely will not be my last time in Turks and Caicos, God willing, of course. But yeah, and the endless adventures that are ahead for me, I'm excited for. As I mentioned before, endless connections, cultivating, relationships building, and yeah, just excited for what's ahead. But like I said, just wanted to drop a quick little episode for you all. Just wanted to get some thoughts out as going as I enjoy the rest of my 30th birthday. So I appreciate y'all as always, just tuning in, taking the chance to listen to me pretty much ramble most of the time. So as always, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one, and until next time, peace.